what is the place for the average citizen? How much history do they need to know to be a competent citizen, a competent voter, a competent just human being in a society? And is there a cost to it? I know there's a cost to it, because when you read history, you read about atrocity, and it can be very harsh and very difficult to deal with. But I was just trying to, it was just speculation. I was thinking about this character, how he operates in the world, and thinking, we're almost, with regards to history, how much, there's a particular scene. The scene is, he's chasing, he suddenly sees he's chasing a guy with a gun. And it's a great scene. It's clever again. It's a clever movie. And then all of a sudden he stops and he says, I'm not chasing him. He's chasing me. And that scene reminded me of, for some reason, just reminded me of human beings who don't have a knowledge of history. Like, they don't even know what they're they're chasing, or something's chasing them. And it's always been something, and I kind of half just made this up excuse for myself when I decided to go to college. I remember saying to myself, well, I'll study history because I need to know. How can you know anything about the present moment if you don't understand history? Partially that was just because I enjoyed history. I didn't know anything else to do. So it was just maybe an excuse I made for myself to study that as opposed to something useful. But I did. And I still wonder about it. I still wonder what the right balance is for people.
I think it depends on the society of the person, too.
In a free society, in our country, America, that's what I'm talking about specifically.
You have a greater responsibility, or rather, it's not that if you live in a less free society, you don't, quote unquote, need history. It's just that history may not be as helpful for you to deal with the situation at hand. In a free society, there is so much more to lose. And so history is the tool by which you fight against the loss of freedom that has historically come again and again. That's why it's really frightening to see a democratic country be so ignorant of its own history in many regards, and the world history, even just, not to the, the first human that appeared, but just for like 1 millennia or something, and be less than that. I mean, a lot of people don't really know history, and I was one of them. I only started to learn history on my own, and it was interestingly through psychology that I came to be more interested in history. Because when I had first approached it as history, it just, and when it was taught to me when I was younger, it just felt like memorizing facts about things that happened. And the connection to the present just wasn't conveyed to me and didn't occur to me. It was only through psychology that I was able to see how similar people throughout history are, and thus how easily the same problems recur, because they're the same people. There's things that change, obviously, mainly culture and the environment itself, but you have the same desires that crop up: the desire for power, the desire to be subjugated, the desire to dominate, fear, arrogance, naivety. All these things, they're human qualities, and so they recur and they have very similar outcomes. So I do think history is so important for people to understand, because if you don't, you're just robbing yourself of a memory. It's like trying to go through the world for the very first time with no knowledge, no guidance, no examples, no information. You have to learn everything by trial and error. And wisdom is the ability to learn things and apply them without having to learn the lesson several times, and in some cases without having to learn the lesson at all. I always thought that wisdom, a good definition of wisdom, is being able to learn from other people's mistakes rather than having to make your own. Most people make the same mistake several times. Smart people make one mistake one time. Wise people don't make the mistake that they see another person make.